underscore, this is a big deal to get this done. So appreciate Julie and Michael and Mary, and I'm going to turn it over to Julie Hatcher.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm Julie Hatch, Management Analyst with the Policy Analysis and Communication, and I just want to point out my colleagues over here, Michael Garner and Mary Delling, who assisted me with leading the strategic planning process for Olmsted County. Today, I'm honored to present the 2024 to 2028 Strategic Plan for Olmsted County, and after review and public comment, respectfully request the board's adoption for this plan. Oops, I gotta find my, here we go. I would like to start off by showing this graphic illustrating the journey we embarked on to formulate the strategic plan I am presenting today. This plan symbolizes the culmination of 18 months of dedicated effort. The comprehensive process assessed the current state of Olmsted County, defined our future state, and developed a roadmap to achieve our vision. Throughout the process, we intentionally engaged county representatives, partners, and community members to ensure diverse perspectives were considered in the development of the strategic plan. But before I delve into the process framework and key components of the plan, I would like to take a moment to extend our sincere appreciation to the county staff who went on this journey with us to shape the new vision, shared vision for the county, beginning with our strategic planning team. This dedicated team played a pivotal role in crafting the four-year plan, establishing the strategic direction and priorities for Olmsted County. Unfortunately, I guess I don't have them on here. Unfortunately, the original presentation did not include the individuals who also joined the development and the priorities and goals, so we want to be sure to recognize them today for their crucial role in helping shape the plan. They are Commissioner Podolsky Smith, Commissioner Rossman, Wilfredo Roman Catalic, sorry, Wilfredo, I knew I was going to do that. Pete Geeson, Travis Granzi, Kay Biniak, and Sheriff Torgerson, and an individual that I apologize for leaving off there was Shagar Chaudhry from the Public Health Department. So again, I recognize my colleagues here for their leadership with the development of the plan as well. I would also be remiss, as we would like to also extend our gratitude to the members of the priority committees for their valuable guidance in shaping the priority objectives, performance indicators, and strategies to achieve our goal and vision. Their thoughtfulness, expertise, and insights help develop intended outcomes that will positively impact residents, visitors, businesses, and staff. Returning to the process, we employed this framework to steer the development of our plan. First, we refined our mission, vision, values, established the groundwork for crafting the roadmap of the strategic plan, and defining our organizational identity. Next, we formulated our priorities, goals, outcomes, strategies, and metrics, outlining what we aim to accomplish, how we intend to achieve it, and how we will gauge progress. Last, we established a plan to demonstrate accountability through performance reports and internal dashboards. In presenting the plan, we'll begin at the top of the framework by reviewing our revised mission, vision, values, and new priorities and goals. Drawing on input and feedback from both internal and external stakeholders, the strategic planning team refined our mission, vision, and values. The revised vision for Olmsted County is a vibrant community where everyone thrives, embodying our aspirations for the future. Our mission, to build a sustainable foundation for a safe, healthy, and welcoming community through public service excellence, describes our purpose and how we will realize our vision. Excuse me. Our values serve as guiding principles, representing our core beliefs and what is important to Olmsted County. Filling a previous gap for each value are accompanying statements that describe its significance to our organization, ensuring clarity and alignment in our decisions and actions. Our updated values and statements are thoughtful. We are intentional with our thoughts and actions by considering the needs of others and acting with respect and compassion. We use data and community input to make informed decisions. Principled. We are careful stewards of our resources and are honest, ethical, and accountable in our work and interactions. Inclusive, we strive to build equitable and supportive environments that cultivate a sense of belonging. Service-focused, We strive to add value to the community through quality core services, innovative problem solving, and continuous improvement. Collaborative, we work together and seek diverse perspectives, ideas, and experiences to strengthen our community. Ensuring alignment with our mission, vision, and values, our new priorities and goals will serve as guiding pillars, directing strategic initiatives, resource allocation, and decision-making over the next 4 years. They will provide direction and ensure that everyone within Olmsted County is working toward the same intended outcomes to meet the community's needs. Our new organizational priorities and goals are community trust and engagement. Olmsted County earns the community's trust through engagement, collaboration, and reliable public service. Community safety and well-being, where Olmsted County strives to keep our community safe and ensures equitable access to programs and services that improve quality of life. Environmental sustainability, where Olmsted County leads in sustainable practices. Responsible growth and development, where Olmsted County anticipates and adapts to the needs of a growing community. And effective and engaged workforce, where Olmsted County has an engaged and high-performing workforce that reflects the diversity of our community. Embedded within our priorities and goals is our commitment to uphold service excellence practice principles. We are dedicated to integrating these principles into our operations, ensuring the delivery of top quality services to our residents, visitors, businesses, and staff. We are committed to operational excellence, prioritizing community improvement to enhance efficiency, reduce waste and cost, and elevate quality and customer satisfaction. Equity, taking into account historical and socio-political factors that influence opportunities and experience so that policies, procedures, and systems can effectively meet people's diverse needs. Innovation, introducing new ideas, processes, and practices to enhance our operational efficiency and effectiveness. And accountability, promoting transparency within the community to explain or justify our actions. Next, we will offer an overview of each priority, highlighting how the results will impact Olmsted County residents, visitors, businesses, and staff. Additionally, we will provide examples of key performance indicators we will use to gauge progress towards achieving each priority. But before we review the priorities, we wanted to provide the details that will be included in the subsequent slides for each priority. First, the priorities and goals will be restated to show alignment with the planning details. Outcome focus areas, recognizing the broad scope of each priority, we categorized and themed intended outcomes to focus on areas to streamline planning and ensure purposeful execution. In the What This Means to Olmsted County Residents, Visitors, Businesses, and Staff section, we offer statements describing the intended outcomes we aim to achieve stemming from the strategies and activities developed for each priority and what the work will mean to community members and staff. The statements in this section are crafted with aspirational intent. However, it's important to recognize that efforts are already underway to realize the intended outcomes. The bottom section offers examples of key performance measures aimed at monitoring progress towards achieving the intended outcomes and priorities. Although we will be monitoring several operational level measures, here we provide examples of high-level measures to demonstrate progress. Lastly, at the very bottom of the slide in the footnote area, we reference the data source for the performance measures. Beginning with the first priority, community safety and well-being. Focus on community safety and well-being is essential for creating thriving, sustainable communities where residents can lead fulfilling lives. For this priority, Olmsted County strives to keep communities safe and ensure equitable access to programs and services that improve quality of life. The outcome focus areas are access and equity, preparedness and awareness, and safety. What this will mean to Olmsted County community members and employees. We will provide seamless access to service for all residents regardless of need or background. We will protect and serve the most vulnerable and help individuals improve their lives. We will assist residents in achieving financial and housing stability. We will implement innovative community corrections and justice practices to achieve positive outcomes for individuals and communities. And with our collaborative efforts, we will address mental health and substance use disorders. And we will prepare for emergencies and enhance resident safety and engagement through continued community involvement. And we will ensure safe transportation condition on all county roads. Examples of key performance indicators that we will continue to monitor and measure will be resident quality of life from our residential survey. Olmsted County residents feel safe from fear of violence. That's taken from our community health needs assessment. We have our property and violent crime rates, the percent of residents who live within a specific radius of county services access points, and Olmsted County fatalities and serious injuries. Earning the trust of community through engagement, collaboration, and reliable public service is of utmost importance for Olmsted County. Focusing on community trust and engagement will help inform our processes, practices, and decisions to ensure that we are responsive to the community's needs, creating relationships that build trust while holding us accountable. Under this priority, we will focus on strong community engagement and relationships, clear and accessible communication, and reliable, trusted service or service excellence. What this will mean to community members and employees: we will engage with community members and provide opportunities for residents to be heard and valued. Olmsted County promotes respectful conversations to promote learning, understanding, and constructive communication with people of differing perspectives. We will partner and develop strong and reliable relationships with businesses and agencies. We will provide clear and accessible communication methods that reach all residents effectively. We will govern effectively and deliver high-quality services that meet changing community needs. We will demonstrate stewardship and transparency in public resource management, and we will ensure accurate and fair documents of record and election integrity. A few examples of our key performance indicators will be resident perception of overall quality of county services, resident perception of Olmsted County acting in the best interest of the community. We'll be looking at our post-election accuracy test, our AAA bond rating, and property tax of total personal income. Well, I have, there we go. Sorry, I'm out of order. As a local government agency, we have a unique and vital role in advancing sustainable practices to protect the environment and improve overall quality of life for our communities. As such, we will prioritize environmental sustainability with the goal to lead in sustainable practices. The outcome areas will include soil health and water quality, waste reduction and management, and carbon and greenhouse gas emissions. What this will mean to our community members and staff: Olmsted County will demonstrate leadership in energy use and sustainability and inspire and empower others to take action toward a more sustainable future. We will ensure safe drinking water, protect existing water supplies, and promote conservation practices. We will reduce waste, increase recycling, and implement innovative sustainable practices. We will plan and implement renewable energy sources and adopt sustainability standards for its operations and our purchasing decisions. We will reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, adopt new technologies, and cultivate a culture that promotes environmental sustainability and resiliency. Some key examples here of our key performance indicators will be our private well water tests conducted each year, our community-wide recycling rates, our carbon emissions from solid waste management practices, number of farm production acres used for cover crops, greenhouse gas production from Olmsted County buildings, and Olmsted County energy use in county buildings. I can figure out where I'm at now, sorry. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Olmsted County's population has grown 12.9% since 2010. As our county continues to expand, it is imperative that we anticipate and adapt to its evolving needs. Prioritizing responsible growth and development ensures that we effectively meet the demands of our growing population while preserving the quality of life of all residents. Delving further into this priority, we identify 3 distinct focus areas, including internal infrastructure, community infrastructure, and interagency relationships and communication. What this means for Olmsted County community members and staff: Olmsted County will works with its governmental partners to ensure wise use of resources and sustainable growth and development. We will respond to population and demographic changes through informed plans for land use, parks, trails, transportation, housing, and our services. And we will ensure comprehensive cybersecurity measures to safeguard data and critical infrastructure. Examples of key performance indicators will be by developing a systematic process to connect the local governments, cities, townships, private agencies, and organizations. Transportation, land use, trails, open space, and housing plans are updated and aligned with projected population growth. And we will have an organizational cybersecurity rating that we will continue to monitor and measure. Our 5th and final priority in the strategic plan centers around cultivating an effective and engaged workforce. Our aim is to foster an environment where Olmsted County boasts an engaged and high-performing workforce that mirrors the diversity of our community. To achieve this goal, our focus will be directed towards the following areas: employee growth and development, workforce diversity and capacity, and inclusive and engaged workforce culture. What this will mean to Olmsted County community members and staff: we will foster employee well-being and engage employees in learning and development. We will plan and respond to community needs through strategic workforce planning, and our workforce will reflect the rich diversity of our community. Some examples for key performance indicators will be the diversity of staff across the organization proportionate to the community served, staff perception of opportunities to grow in the organization, staff turnover less than 2 years after hire, and employee perception of Olmsted County as a welcoming and inclusive employer. Achieving our vision and priorities. The execution of this 4-year plan will be a shared responsibility among all Olmsted County leaders and staff. Achieving success will also hinge on active involvement and feedback from community, reflecting our dedication to enriching and broadening opportunities for community engagement. We will demonstrate accountability through annual progress reports and internal dashboards while continually refining our measures over time. Developing a carefully crafted strategic roadmap outlining our goals, strategies, and success metrics is a profound learning experience for any organization. It enables us to gain a deeper insight into our strengths and areas for growth, while also fostering an understanding of how best to meet the needs of our community. We are confident that this strategic plan will move us closer to meeting the needs and achieving our vision of a vibrant community where everyone thrives. Thank you. Just want to thank you for the opportunity to present this strategic plan on behalf of the organization, and I welcome any questions at this time.
Are there questions from members? I think, in all honesty, we've had opportunities to work with you all along the way, so there are many of our questions I think have been answered, and our comments have been given, and they've been incorporated. So this is an opportunity for community input, but on behalf of the board, let me thank all 3 of you who've really led this long, very detailed effort. And we know that the performance indicators alone cover several spreadsheets. That way, this is clearly an intention on the part of Olmsted County to really focus on achieving our vision and to holding ourselves accountable and being accountable to our broader community. So I think that you've done a really good job in seeking community input and identifying some areas of growth and opportunity for us as a county, as well as some things that we really want to maintain where we have a reputation for excellence, which we certainly intend to maintain. So I think we have a combination of carrying forward with what we do well, but looking to our future. looking to the growth of our community and looking to how we relate with other community partners and other local units of government to assure that we do create a vibrant community where everyone can thrive. So, and even getting to that slogan that we can understand and repeat easily is very worthwhile. I'm wondering if other members of the board want to comment before we open it to anyone in the audience who would like to provide us some input. This has been kind of an internally focused with a conversation that's gone on for a long time with certain checkpoints with the broader community. But this is intended to be an opportunity for the broader community to comment this morning, should you wish to. So, any comments from my colleagues? No? Commissioner Wright, I was expecting you, yes.
I think that I want just to show my appreciation for taking us. I don't know. I'll speak up. Thank you for taking us through this. And and some of us aren't as detailed as other people are, but I do appreciate you taking through that. So for Michael Garner and Mary Dealing also, thank you very much for your effort. And hopefully it is a document that will guide the county over the next few years and that we will refer back to it frequently to remind ourselves as well as the community that this is where we want to go. So thank you very much.
And Madam Chair, if I may, I'd like to point out that the values that we're embracing as an organization are also the values that you put into practice continuously through this 18-month process. The thoughtfulness, the inclusiveness, the collaboration. I know I, for one, just love getting into the weeds with language and wordsmithing and deep consideration of meaning and intent and impact. And so I personally loved this process. I was so impressed with the deep consideration of basically every word that went into this strategic document. So just a real congratulations from me.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Michael.
Any other comments? Well, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, this is your opportunity should you choose to provide any insights, comments, reflections, critiques. Including our friend from the City Council. Oh, Randy, you moved. I thought you were coming to the podium for a second. All right. So, seeing no desire for public comment, I would entertain a motion to adopt the strategic plan.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the strategic plan. All those in favor? Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, just a comment. Probably could have offered this earlier, but I think we all thank our staff for doing this, and for the many that weren't in the room as we went through the gyrations. As I think Commissioner Wright has pointed out, how you translate some of our discussion into onto a piece of paper is an art unto itself, and you just have done a great job. And but now I would say maybe the easy part's over with, because now we have a 4-year plan that we're presumptively going to approve and have to live up to. So I would just hope that we do some routine check-ins on this plan. Somebody can suggest what the schedule might be, but we can't love it and leave it. We have to keep with it. And so good work, and thank you all.
Ms. Welsh, did you care to comment?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, absolutely. Commissioner St. Jim's on the mark. This will be our guiding, it's like our roadmap for how we move forward and how we measure our progress and how we measure, where we need to improve. So you will be seeing pieces and parts of this in everything we do. So.
And it is highly detailed. I've been involved with not-for-profit organizations for many years in developing strategic plans. This one is highly detailed. So we're going to hold ourselves accountable to and now the accountability phase begins. So, We're going to move now to our consent agenda. We have on our consent agenda this morning proclaiming April as Child Abuse Prevention Month, recognizing April 1st through the 7th as National Public Health Week, and proclaiming April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. To approve our March 19th, 2024 County Board meeting minutes, we want to approve the amended professional services agreement with SRF Consulting Group, Inc. for SP 055-644-001. Want to award a contract for SP 055-070-022, which is Centerline Rumble Strips. We want to award a contract for the Graham Park paving project. H, award contracts for the 2117 building roof project. I, award contract for the Bluffland State Trail improvements at Chester Woods Park project. J, accept the traffic safety vehicle grant from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety Office of Traffic Safety. K, approve the joint powers agreements for massage inspection. And L, approve the gambling permit for the Tri-County Pheasants Forever Chapter 0004.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I would amend that by removing item K for a comment.
We have a motion to amend. I think we're out of order here. I think I have to have a second to approve, and then you can move to amend.
Okay, yes.
Okay. So I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a second. And now I have a motion to amend the consent agenda by removing item K. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do I have a second for the motion to remove item K?
Second.
I have a second for that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We've removed K. Now, I have before you a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through L with removing item K. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Consent agenda prevails. We will move item K to the discussion and decision items. And if it were, I'm trying to decide on the order since we have guests here to speak. What I would suggest we do is take our guests first and then go back to item K. Is that all right with you, Commissioner? All right. So we will move now to our decision and discussion items and invite People's Energy Cooperative presentation.
Madam Chair, isn't that we have not approved the consent agenda.
Yeah, we just did.
We did approve the consent agenda, taking out item K, and we moved item K to discussion and decision items.
Okay.
Welcome, Mr. Walsh.
Good to see you all again. Again, Marty Walsh, Economic Development and Key Accounts Manager for People's Energy Cooperative, here to present on the Good Neighbor Agreement for the Midwest Project, which is a federal grant application as part of the IIJA. And just as kind of a note of clarification, new IRA and IIJA federal grants will all require some form of community benefit agreement. This is a specific one for a utility project, but I would anticipate seeing all of you either for people's projects or projects that we're supporting economic development projects a number of times over the next 7 years. Everybody gets to go about this their own way. We're working with the communities that we serve to have preemptive agreements developed, but this is for a specific project, again, as part of a federal grant application. So I'm going to run through the presentation that's developed by our engineering department, but I'm the community outreach guy. They're not as good at talking to people. So this is a pretty large grant. It's with utilities in 5 states across the upper Midwest. That was to get the scale required. These federal grants generally don't recommend you pursuing them for less than about $50 million. This one's about $250 million to get that scale. It's a partnership of investor-owned utilities, cooperatives, and municipal utilities across the upper Midwest. There's 3 different elements to this. So assess, which is developing a new tool through the U of M to identify areas of underground utility improvements that need to be made. We don't really have a great assessment program for that right now. Then harden substations, make them more secure from physical malicious attacks and also animals. That's our #1 cause of outage is raccoon or turkey vulture or squirrel in the equipment. And then also intelligence deploying. FLISR is the wonderful acronym, but this is just modernizing equipment, and it's particularly targeted at really remote areas of our infrastructure. So we have about 1,500 miles of line. Some of them are quite far away from where we work, and if we can assess those areas remotely rather than sending a crew out, we can restore power much more quickly. Just to kind of go through those again, the assess portion is a electronic program or digital asset that will have a lot of utilities will have it. After we develop the program, we'll be improving about 6 miles of underground lines. Substation hardening is primarily the animal proofing, but they'll also become about a foot taller, the fences around the substations, and they'll have barbed wire on top. And individual pieces of equipment will have animal proofing on them. And where this is relevant to Olmsted County and why we're presenting to 3 different counties actually. So the Pleasant Grove and Elmira substations of ours are down along the Fillmore County line and serve a number of residents of Olmsted County. And then also the Zumbro, Quincy, and Little Valley, those are all along the Wabasha County line on either side of it and serve people primarily north of Dover, and then the Orinoco area as well is where you're going to run into those. So they'll have these equipment that is digitally attached to our system. So again, we don't have to send linemen out or line workers out. We can just see, oh, that's all this was. We can reclose that. And also, when we're doing improvements to line, narrow the areas that we need to shut down. So sometimes right now we might have to take 100 people off to do work that really should only affect one person. This will improve that significantly. And then intelligence, again, this is SCADA connected, which is our communication software. There's going to be 75 of these that go out across the area, again, throughout Wabasha, Olmsted, and Fillmore counties. So this is the community benefit agreements here. The good neighbor agreement is what we're calling it, is just saying that, one, we're going to communicate with you and any other community partner. We've chosen the county as the representative community agency here to communicate anything that we have going on. If you have questions, we are responsible, and we are agreeing in the legal agreement here that we will respond to you and answer what's going on. This is specific to this project, but you can expect that we'll have a similar agreement again going forward. And just so you know, there's a labor engagement understanding. We've gotten a letter of support from Sheriff Torgerson already because of the obvious public safety elements of the security here. And there's also pretty significant cultural and socioeconomic outreach that's going on as part of this overall project, making sure that we're giving opportunities for the economic benefits, not just of the result of the work, but the actual work that's going on to accrue in the communities. We're not bringing in outside contractors from terribly far away. So this is a GRIP grant. There's a lot of grants, and I'm not even going to pretend to remember which one GRIP stands for, but it's a Department of Energy grant as part of the Inflation Reduction Act. The Department of Energy will provide about 66% of the grant cost, so we're only covering the 34%, which is about $2.7 million. That's coming out of our regular capital improvement projects. These are things that would probably have happened sometime over the next 20 years that we're able to significantly accelerate with this program. So again, not asking anything other than your approval of the community benefit agreement and the good neighbor agreement, but happy to answer any questions about this project in particular, and as far as the chairwoman wants you to be allowed to stray.
So, your proposal is simply for the electrical and the grid, is that right?
Correct.
You're not looking at a piece of land someplace where somebody could develop.
Correct. This is for this proposal specifically is just making improvements to our existing infrastructure. If this were not federally funded, you would never notice the work was going on.
Well, that's really nice that you wouldn't tell us that this work is going on.
Well, if you
So
asked, we'd be happy to. As a
that
member
we
of
know
cooperative,
about
we'd
that.
be happy to.
Appreciate that.
But you wouldn't notice about it.
All right.
So.
And so People's Power Co-op does not serve the city of Rochester, correct? So this is all outside, but it's within the county and the
Correct.
3 areas of the
Yeah.
county.
We serve something like 7 accounts within the city limits just because of the way the polls are, but yeah.
Well, that's nice, right? So have developers come and do they specifically say you need to upgrade your grid, or are they really asking for land in something ready where they could come in and
Sure.
and,
So,
and
so this
do
is
their
this is
project.
this is entirely separate from the open comment part.
Yes.
We have that, and we do have areas where, in the development areas that we know it's likely someone's going to come along, we overbuild our system, and then this is just the general maintenance so that we have less time line workers out, we have less overnight outages, things like that, and again less turkey vultures is the one that I always remember because my first big outage getting into the system.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just your day to day. This affects far more rural constituents. Again, in that kind of north of Dover, Orinoco area, and then down around the north area, north of Chatfield, over along 30 towards Stewartville.
Thank you.
So we do have, I think there was a little bit of confusion with your earlier presentation. So let's just restate. All you're asking us to do at this point is to approve the good neighbor relationship so that you can receive the federal funding to harden your system and to make those improvements as part of this, how many states I've forgotten?
5 states.
5-state effort. And that we normally wouldn't have heard of, except that you're getting this federal money. And as part of that, it's formalizing the good neighbor relationship.
Correct. As part of the IRA, through the Inflation Reduction Act, and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act bipartisan infrastructure bill, all new grants, and from what we understand, this will eventually work its way into every portion of the federal government. We will have to have good neighbor agreements to stop someone from coming in and saying, "Yep, we got federal money, and we're going to build this monstrous project with nobody listening." This is not a monstrous project, but it's just a good
form of
project.
community engagement with local units of government. So we're aware of what electric utilities or utilities are doing.
And it could be private developers. So I know that there is another person in the county pursuing a grant for private development, for manufacturing development. They may not choose the county as their local government. They may choose the city. They may choose a different group. But yes, anytime these projects come along, someone's going to be requesting good neighbor agreements or similar documents.
So we're learning as we go about these new federal requirements. Okay. So I think that piece is clear. And then maybe we can open it up to questions that you were that were posed that occurred to us based on your public comment period. Okay.
I would be happy.
So
to
do we have
answer
more
as well.
questions about the good neighbor?
No, but I'm ready to make a motion.
I think Sanjay was next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to touch a little bit on the career development aspect of this, and I know and understand that part of kind of the IRA and IJJ, whatever it is, process was you make these applications, and you know, tremendously laudable as we move through the energy transition. You know, we need lots of new people into these areas of electrical utilities and a lot more. But as one of the things that sort of bothered me, and I think this is probably just written in, and I got enough faith in the organization to believe that if you don't get the grant, you're simply not going to walk away from any kind of a program that we might have at a local college relative to career development and you know, developing more people into your kind of a workforce.
Correct. So we already do around 50 to 60 high school and grade school visits to promote the energy, utility industry, the trades. This document is the same document for all 70 utilities that are doing this. And in some areas, utilities are not as involved in their communities, especially if they're not cooperatives. So yes, we will continue to engage. I think what this specifically calls out is that we may take advantage of the specific technology that's being rolled out in this agreement to enhance the educational opportunities we're already working on.
Okay, great. Thank you, Manager.
Commissioner Wright.
All right, I move to approve the Good Neighbor Agreement with People's Energy Cooperative.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion about approval of the People's Energy Cooperative Good Neighbor Agreement? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The motion prevails.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Walsh, while you're here, were there any questions anyone wanted to pose, as long as he's here, about the public comment period?
Well, I am curious.
We're asking you earlier.
Yes, I am curious. And as long as now you're sharing all this great information with us, What kind of industries or businesses are asking about development in the county? You don't have to mention specific
Sure.
businesses, but in general, what kind?
In the last, Kirk left. In the last 2 years, I have fielded questions, everything from regional and national logistics suppliers, cold storage, fertilizer processing, um, a lot that does have to go along with the federal programs right now, battery processing things. Many of those things we're never going to be capable of supporting in this area. We don't have the workforce when a plant is looking for 5,000 workers or they want to be within 50 miles of a deep water port. The Mississippi just isn't that great. But we do get frequent inquiries, especially on the logistics side of things, I would say. What I would call light manufacturing, maybe. Ancillary businesses to larger regional partners. Pretty broad spectrum, though. We're seen as a good place to do business because of the workforce that we have. We just, as a state, don't have a lot of development-ready sites.
Right.
And when we're hearing that in other states they might be able to move from request for proposal to shovels in the ground in 6 weeks,
Right.
and we're looking at oftentimes 18 months.
All right, so I'm listening very carefully. So what you're really saying is that because we don't have a ready-made industrial park or an industrial area, and I'm thinking of Albert Lee that has a port authority that does have space available. I mean, basically, they could move in tomorrow if they wanted to because all the infrastructure is there. You're saying that for Olmsted County, that is a deficit for the region, that we don't have something that's immediately available. We haven't planned it out. We don't have the infrastructure there for people to move in immediately.
Yeah, and yes, there are some sites that are ready from a physical point of view, and they have the infrastructure available, or they have 90% of the infrastructure available. It is generally the regulatory issue that we're facing. And it's not that they're bad regulations or things that shouldn't be addressed. That's actually, that does relate back to the good neighbor agreements here. It's things that could be addressed preemptively. And that's where I think that we are lacking. We wait to move until somebody makes a request. And there are things, wetland assessments, soil borings. When we know a property is going to be developed, or we believe it's good for development, there are things that could be knocked out preemptively that would then allow us to move more quickly on projects that we find desirable.
So is that part of your project to suggest to the legislature that these things be taken care of in advance, or to streamline the regulatory process?
We would love the regulatory process to be streamlined, but we recognize it's maybe a bigger hurdle, or it's a longer discussion. And so what we're looking to do is how we can address the elements of that ahead of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's something worthwhile to continue to talk about, because Olmsted County continually looks for industries and businesses that would employ the people that we serve in Olmsted County, and specifically employ the kinds of people that we have that currently might be on public assistance but are ready to move out when those employment opportunities come. So those kinds of businesses would be very valuable, to Olmsted County.
And the types of businesses I think you're talking about that offer a wide range of skills needs are the ones that tend to look outside of the city of Rochester, where land values are a little lower and logistical access to rail and interstate is often a little bit easier. And those tend to be the ones that, as People's Energy Cooperative, we tend to be working with. Obviously, we don't do a lot of work with people who are looking to locate downtown Rochester.
Thank you. We'll be looking forward to having more discussion.
Any other discussion, questions from members? Thank you for
Absolutely.
the extra time with us this morning. Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
All right. We are to the part of our agenda where we ask for board and committee reports.
No, K. We have to return to K. Excuse me.
Excuse me?
Point of order. We have to return to letter
Oh,
K.
thank you. I did
And-
forget that. I
yeah.
appreciate that. Apologies. So we need to, when you said K, I thought you were referring to a particular
No,
staff
I'm
member.
sorry, letter
So
K.
I wondered why we had to return to her at this moment. So could we please return to item K of our consent agenda, approving the Joint Powers Board agreements for a massage inspection? And who will, Commissioner Sendrum, do you want to outline your concerns, and then we'll see what staff are available to answer your questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think just, given, unless there's more discussion on this, what I want to do is just say, first of all, I would move to approve item K. And then I would, if there's a second, I'll have my discussion.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Joint Powers Board agreements for massage inspection.
And Madam Chair, my comments, and I anguished, was anguishing over this when I believe 100% in the goals of this. And by the way, for the public, this has to do with the regulating massage parlors. But I also believe that if you're going to regulate and code enforce and possibly even impose penalties, that you ought to do it under the guise of an ordinance. And so I moved this for approval today, but with maybe the announcement, or at least the suggestion that I'm going to work personally with staff if they'll have me, and maybe within the framework of this year, we could probably come up with some staff language that would help us get to some rules. I mean, if we're going to adopt code, code enforcement provisions, we ought to have some code in my view. And other cities, I haven't found too many counties that have this, but certainly other cities across our state and our country have massage parlor ordinances that deal with the kind of things that we're going to be working on within Olmsted County. And I think having a county ordinance to supplant or to support what we're doing here is an important thing, and I just want to work on that.
And I'm going to ask Ms. Welsh and perhaps Mr. Canan to comment, because I believe they've done some research on your question.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Sanjum, and we did have a little bit of time on email to sort this through yesterday. It's my understanding that we are not allowed as a county to put in place an ordinance on this topic based on Tom Canan's, our council, research. And I'm going to turn it over to him from there to comment further.
Thank you, Ms. Welsh. Yes, you'd asked me to weigh in on this yesterday, and I did some research. And the research that I found was that there is clear authority for municipalities in the state of Minnesota to regulate massage establishments. I referenced a case where there was a challenge to a city ordinance, and the city ordinance was upheld. I mentioned also in that email that there's something called Dillon's Rule, which basically says that cities have much broader authority to act as they see fit when it comes to health, safety, and welfare measures. And counties, in contrast, generally are restricted to acting on the delegated powers that the legislature has given them. And so I did some research. There isn't any statutory authority that I was able to find that authorized counties to essentially legislate in this area of the law. And also, at least the search that I did yesterday did not reveal any Minnesota counties that have taken steps to regulate this particular industry. They were all cities in the state of Minnesota. So I'd have some concerns if the county took steps to basically create a massage establishment regulatory scheme that parallels what's in the cities. And also just pointed out in that email, just simply given where the population densities are in the areas within the state, generally the massage establishments are all falling within the city limits of the city. So they're in areas that the cities are already able to regulate, and not likely that we're going to see many, simply because of lower population densities, massage establishments locating in the township areas of the county. So for those reasons, if there's some shortcomings that you see, let's say, for example, in the existing city ordinances that oversee massage establishments, I think that's something a conversation that could be had with the city councils of those cities to see what they could do to beef up their oversight. But I'd not recommend, based on the research that I did, that the county attempt to legislate in this area of the law.
Madam Chair, could I just, so Mr. Canad, would you believe then that if we're going to get into code enforcement with fines and penalties and so on and so forth, that we do that under the authority of some public health nuisance uh, provision that we might be allowed to work under, or what do we work under legally if we're going to do this and regulate the community, potentially even fine or incarcerate them?
Well, keeping in mind that we're in a kind of a support capacity where public health staff is working pursuant to this agreement with city licensing staff. The city is basically in the driver's seat they're the ones who are responsible for administration of their ordinance, and we're in a support role. So if there are code enforcement issues, there are criminal or civil penalties, and the Rochester City Attorney's Office, for example, would be responsible if there are criminal penalties that need to be pursued against any particular violator. And the public health staff is simply there to provide the science end of this, do the inspections, provide the test results from the testing that's done inside the establishments, furnish that to the city licensing staff so that they can determine what, if any, action needs to be pursued against violators.
Commissioner, if you'd allow me to speak, when I was in the legislature, the subject of licensure of massage therapists was, I think we dealt with it 3 or 4 times in the years I was there, and we are now an outlier. The state of Minnesota is an outlier. We're the only state that does not have licensure for massage therapists. And perhaps this is the kind of issue that, since we see that it has a public health impact, it also has a public safety impact, it has a human trafficking impact, that this is something that we want to elevate as a legislative conversation for within our associations, that there is a public health concern, there is a public safety concern, there is an issue. And so I'm looking to the Sheriff's Association, maybe to the Public Health Association, that we might want to call on our partners to say we have a gap. Our public health people have called that out in our subcommittee meeting, that we are an outlier, and that our public health professionals are concerned that Minnesota is an outlier. And so it's maybe time for us to start to raise this issue with our associations and with the legislature. And that might be a better route, Commissioner, than trying to have an Olmsted County standalone ordinance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are bills in the House and the Senate. I don't know if they met deadline or not, but it's not forgotten, at least by this year's legislature, to pursue these things. So anyway, more to come on this, I suspect. But thank you, Mr. Canan, and so on. Yeah, I noticed as well that there were no county ordinances I could find in Minnesota. So it is perhaps likely is because of the reason you described.
So, members, is there further discussion, or are we ready to move to a vote? I have a motion and a second to approve the Joint Powers Board agreements for massage inspection. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion prevails. All right, now we are ready for reports from the Public Health Services Advisory Board. We're represented there by Commissioner Wright and Commissioner Podolsky-Smith. Do you have reports?
I have a report about the convening of the Cannabis Advisory Council that I serve on.
Okay.
So Commissioner Wright,
Sure.
if you'd like to cover
Well-
public health, please feel free.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting is that the Public Health Advisory Board had a report from Olmsted County and the people that do the massage inspections to tell us why it's really important that Olmsted County become involved in looking at rules and regulations for the entire county. And to simply put it, a bad actor, if the city of Rochester penalizes them or says that you can't operate in the city, they can move outside of the city to other safe havens that's not covered by this and continue on with their operation. And so that's why it's really important to have some kinds of rules to blanket the entire county so that you don't give bad actors a place where they can move in and continue their operations, which we know are not healthy and not good for the county. So that was the main thrust of the meeting that we had at Public Health. So it was very timely. And unfortunately, they weren't here to speak to that today, but another day they can.
Thank you. And the other scheduled report we have right now is from our representatives to Extension, and that's Representative Commissioner Mueller and Commissioner Rossman.
Commissioner Mueller has yet to attend. He was just recently added to that committee, so I'm going to give you the next time we report. But I briefly touched on this at our last meeting, and I'll just mention it again because it's really important. We did fund a 3/4 position through Extension, and we're lucky to hire someone. She's in week 3, so we have a new Olmsted Agriculture and Horticulture Extension educator here in the county, and she's hit the ground running, has some tremendous background, and just really look forward to her engaging with multiple entities across the county and bringing more knowledge from Extension, connecting them to Olmsted County residents, and helping them thrive wherever they fit in agriculture and horticulture. So we'll continue to report on her efforts as she continues to build that program.
And the person's name? Do you?
Yes, Mary Nesberg has been hired.
Great, thank you. All right, other reports. I'm Commissioner Podolsky-Smith.
Yes, well, as you know, I was appointed to the Cannabis Advisory Council as a direct appointment from AMC, the Association of Minnesota Counties, and we convened last week. And it was a good first meeting, was a good start. To give you some context, you'll recall that the Cannabis Advisory Council was formed as part of the legalization of cannabis. So this is a legislatively required council, and it's a 51-person council with wide-ranging membership. Including a direct appointment from the Association of Minnesota Counties, which I've also been in close communication with about this issue. So we convened, and we also exist to be thought partners and wide-ranging experts alongside the Office of Cannabis Management, who exists. So the Office of Cannabis Management, which will oversee this legalization process, exists to ensure a safe, reliable, and accessible supply of adult use and medical cannabis and hemp-derived products, to give consumers informed choices and to assure product safety and decrease an illicit market. So that's their work. And my partners at AMC and I and others are keenly interested in maintaining the local control mechanisms and regulations around this legalization process. So we had a subsequent meeting with Senator Lindsay Port, who I believe will be a real champion for maintaining the language in any legislative changes to ensure local control mechanisms and regulatory oversight in our local capacity. So there's that. So I see that as very reassuring, and that's where we are.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Wright, any other report? Commissioner Mueller?
I do have a comment at the end after the reports are done, please.
Commissioner Senjum, do you have a report?
Just maybe a couple quick things briefly. The Olmsted County History Center met last week. It was a good meeting. They seem all to be. Dr. Carrie Olson, who did for years led the building initiatives at Mayo, is a member, and he's leading up the strategic plan with respect to buildings and grounds and doing a lot of work. Dr. Mark Warner, a retired anesthesiologist, is heading up the fundraising. There's going to be a big fundraising effort in June. Of course, the fundraising always is a continuum, but nonetheless something big and something special. I would note that, and you're going to get an invitation. I've just sort of been a little slow on this. On April 11th, uh, you're going to get an invite from me to just a brief open house, maybe for an hour and a half, the evening of April 11th. Come if you can. Um, then I would. So that's the History Center. They're doing good work, moving forward, and I think with great goals. Uh, the other thing I'll just mention quickly is last night I was up at the University of Minnesota on a climate smart municipality program that involved 22 students that went to Germany this January and learned about the energy transition. And they, if you will, reported back to an audience of 120 people. So pretty interesting, pretty enlightening to listen to their views of the future of not only energy but the world that they're going to live in. That was interesting. I happened to sit by a state senator that maybe just a little inside intel because there has been some conversations about the state legislature becoming more and more involved in land use planning around housing. And she gave me every intention, although I don't think she intended to, that they're going to nip away on this. They want to assume local control relative to planning and zoning issues related to the housing initiatives of local government. So I think we can expect that.
Thank you. I'm also going to give a report on you. I have a report, or you just want to make a comment?
A comment.
Okay, so I wanted to let you know that I'm on a couple of committees that are looking at this new Department of Children, Youth, and Families, and also pulling county representatives together to look at how we partner with these three new departments, because we'll have the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, we'll have Direct Care and Treatment, and we'll have Department of Human Services will continue. And I am pleased to see that we have some of our staff as recognizes for their expertise that are members of these committees representing MAXA. And it's an unusual time in that it really does feel as if there's a deep intentional effort to try and modernize our data systems, which we all know are badly needed without the full funding that would be required. But also to really listen to counties about what the needs are and how do we more effectively partner. And then I wanted to call out on a different topic. The Olmsted County Justice Coordinating Council has been struggling for a couple of years on how do we look at data so that we can really make some system assessments, starting from the point of contact with law enforcement through disposition by the courts and eventually by corrections. How do we have a data system in our criminal justice system that works well? Last month we had a representative of Hennepin County do a briefing with the OCJC, and I think it was actually a little bit daunting because they are very, very deep. They've been working since 2008 on their data collection and their data analytics. And they have a dashboard that they put, a public-facing dashboard that they put onto the Hennepin County Attorney's website. And then they have internal work that they do with data analytics to look how their system is working and whether there's opportunities for change and system improvement. I think I'm looking to Mr. Ostrom because I think, and Ms. Welsh, because we felt a little daunted by how comprehensive their approach is. And now there seems to be maybe a way for us to begin a smaller bite, if you will. And that is we have a task force within the OCJC that's looking at how do we develop a juvenile continuum of care so that we are looking at how we respond not only to the kids with the most acute needs, but how we start with prevention. And so a way to begin might be with data around our juvenile system, and that's something that's being talked about. And the reason I'm bringing it up today is that last week I learned that I'm a member of the Juvenile Justice Advisory Council, and the state of Minnesota, JJAC, has received a federal grant that will allow 2 pilot sites across the state of Minnesota to receive funding to develop a juvenile continuum with data elements in it. And so I'm hoping that Olmsted County will be well positioned and our staff will thoroughly examine this opportunity, that this may be the opportunity for us to advance what we've been working on for a long time, both our juvenile justice continuum and the data elements that we want to develop. So I found both of those kind of tidbits of information useful when you sometimes are involved in these statewide committees. You get a little bit of advance notice of what's coming down the pike. So hopefully we'll be well positioned and make advance in both of those arenas, whether or not we apply for the state grant. Hopefully that'll be something we can do. So, Commissioner Bright, you wish to make a comment before?
Thank you very much. Well, I don't want this the moment to pass to inform the people of the county and the audience here is that, more than 30 years ago, my guess is that the people that were sitting on the dais of the county had a similar conversation and looked into similar kinds of information that we did this morning at the Public Works Committee when they first of all started talking about what are we going to do with the solid waste in the county, and they started the discussion on building what we now have as the Olmsted County Waste to Energy. And I'm certain that probably historically they had some of the same questions and some of the same concerns when they began that process of looking at that. So today in Public Works, we had people to come in and talk to us about how we could take the Olmsted County Waste to Energy facility and move it into the next generation of energy production. And although that the technology is there is still questions about how this might be used in the future and in the production of hydrogen, of using our facility to carry us into the next generation of energy production. So I'm very cognizant of what that county commissioner group of people did 30 years ago to have these discussions, and I really believe that we're building upon what they did with the right amount of cautiousness balanced with the right amount of desire to move our county into the next generation. So people can look forward to hearing more about that because we're just at the beginning of this, but I'm certain the county will move forward in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to end our meeting with a quote, and today I have a quote from Theodore Roosevelt. "It's not the critic who points out the strong persons when the strong person stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly." Theodore Roosevelt. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn and we'll move to committee of the whole. I have a motion and a second. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in